Raised on the planet of Tatooine, the Force-sensitive Luke Skywalker was destined to become a Jedi just like his father, the legendary Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. Despite efforts from Owen and Beru Lars to drive out all of his father's traits, Luke always craved for adventure, but remained as a moisture farmer until the purchase of the astromech droid R2-D2 and the protocol droid C-3PO. The droids would lead him to the former Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, who revealed the exploits of his father in the Clone Wars, and not those of a navigator on a spice freighter. The later killing of his aunt and uncle by Imperial Stormtroopers would seal his path towards the Jedi, and away from the Empire. But what if before he had met the droids, he had taken a different route? What if he had followed in the footsteps of his friend on Tatooine Biggs Darklighter? What if he had joined the Imperial Academy? How would this affect the remaining Jedi? What would happen to the rebellion? All of those questions are going to be answered. Walking through the network of Tatooine's homes, Luke Skywalker cuts a frustrated figure, contrary to his friend beside him Biggs Darklighter. Whilst Luke was set for another miserable year on the farm, Biggs announced that he would be defecting the Empire for the growing rebellion. Luke's commitment to the Lars homestead was costing him his dream. Hearing more about Biggs' adventures was not helping his jealousy and his mood. Luke finally snapped, declaring he had had enough of the stranglehold his uncle had over him. Bidding farewell to Biggs, they planned to see each other soon, not knowing the true nature of what they were getting into. Heading back into his home for what he hoped to be one final time, he barged in with new purpose, only focused on filling his need for adventure. Taking any small trinkets he could carry, Uncle Owen is confused, warning Luke he had another year left. But this falls on deaf ears. Owen attempts to grab hold of Luke, clearly thinking that the young man had gone insane, but Beru holds him back. Owen could not stop Luke's destiny. Owen's anger finally cooled enough to allow Luke to walk out. Having gathered some information from Biggs, Luke decides to head into Mos Eisley, looking for Imperial posters. It doesn't take him long to find one, as they're scattered across most of the walls. Heading to a local junior military school, Luke is immediately put through a series of vigorous tests for his mental and physical aptitude. Unlike Biggs, Luke doesn't have any particular connections, the surname of Skywalker being commonplace on Tatooine. However, Luke manages to meet the qualifications, particularly excelling in the mental examinations, enrolling in a one-year course to advance to the Senior Academy. Meanwhile, during this period, one resident on Tatooine has become gravely concerned. The aging Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped outside of his home, just as the twin suns began to rise, looking at the Lars homestead. But something was wrong. Trudging across the sand, he still failed to sense Luke. Knocking hesitantly on the entrance, the extremely angry Uncle Owen yelled at Obi-Wan for poisoning Luke with his Jedi ways. These had now led him to leaving for the Imperial Academy. Uncle Owen slamming the door in Obi-Wan's face was not as painful as his failure to protect Luke. Turning back to his hut, he could not go to the local academy, as his identity would be exposed to the Empire. His years of solitary confinement on Tatooine were wasted. He had no use remaining here anymore. Luke would have to be recovered at a later time. Gathering up his possessions including Anakin's lightsaber, Obi-Wan heads for Mos Eisley on foot. There he uses several mind tricks and his remaining credits to purchase a ship, heading for Dagobah. The long journey is free of obstacles, other than the very obvious one: how he was going to explain all of this to Yoda. Despite being a master of clearing his emotions, Obi-Wan's guilt and shame stopped him from any sort of meditation. Dropping through the clouds, his enhanced senses help him to land in an opening in a dense forest. Yoda is already waiting for him. Obi-Wan bowed his head to his little green friend out of both respect and embarrassment. Yoda tells Obi-Wan that he had already sensed it from afar, and that it was not his fault. Discussing their future plans, they decide that Obi-Wan should head for the other Skywalker twin last located on Alderaan. Heading back into the atmosphere, Obi-Wan sped off into hyperspace, and to the coordinates of Alderaan. But he felt the same concern as when he had lost Luke. Obi-Wan's feelings proved to be unfortunately accurate, as where Alderaan was supposed to be was a collection of asteroids. Looking at his navigation computer, Obi-Wan is even more confused. From the window, he could see a large moon which was not on the map. However, it soon dawned on him that it was not a moon, but a space station. Putting all of the pieces together, Obi-Wan feels the Force telling him to go towards the Death Star. Although it seemed reckless, Obi-Wan puts his faith in the Force and allows the tractor beam to draw him in. Approaching the hangar bay, Obi-Wan can feel the darkness of Vader, but also another presence. Landing smoothly, a group of stormtroopers are pointing their blasters towards his confined cockpit. Pushing the button to the canopy, Obi-Wan ignites both of his blades and slices through the small group. He is fortunate that most of the Imperial troopers have been spread throughout the space station. Heading towards the lighter presence, he had to subdue several more stormtroopers in order to get into a turbo lift, heading for the prisoner detention blocks. After overhearing a conversation between two Imperial troopers, Obi-Wan heads for detention block AA-23, easily dispatching any guards. Finally reaching the cell door to Leia, she's relieved to see the Jedi Master. But Obi-Wan can't feel the same way. Despite reassurances from Yoda, in his eyes, Leia was the only hope. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps and subsequent blaster fire causes Obi-Wan to hide behind the cell door's exterior wall. Accurately redirecting the blaster fire into the chest of the Stormtroopers, he pulls a fallen blaster from the floor into the hands of Leia. Heading back out of the detention block, Obi-Wan was once more bemused. He had expected extremely stern resistance, but not only were the corridors quite empty, but the darkness he had felt earlier had disappeared. Surely Vader had sensed Obi-Wan arriving earlier, and even then, Obi-Wan's massacre would have brought attention to the whole station. Whatever the situation was, Obi-Wan headed for the tractor beam and severed one of the links with ease. Turning back to the direction of the hangar, they are faced with some resistance, but none which threatened to exhaust the rusty dueling abilities of Obi-Wan. But then he felt it. The reason for all the limited protection. Even from such distance, Obi-Wan sensed something had happened to Luke. Zooming off with a confused Leia, Obi-Wan thought about contacting the rebellion about the reduction in the Death Star's defences, but Luke was more important. Speeding his way to Tatooine much to the protest of Leia, Obi-Wan knew he would be late. Asking Leia to take the controls, Obi-Wan jumped straight onto the roof of the Academy. Carving his way into the building with his lightsabers, he can see from the rooftop the figure of Darth Vader striding between the two lines of cadets and selecting Luke. Luke salutes Vader much to the disgust of Obi-Wan, and they both head outside. Obi-Wan tracks them from the rooftop before leaping behind them, igniting his blades. Vader and Luke turn around, Vader commanding for Luke to get back into his ship. Luke hesitates but obeys the order. Obi-Wan figured he would not be able to outwit Vader like he had done in their previous encounter, so had to use another method. Leaping back onto the roof, Obi-Wan attempted to gain the advantage of elevation, but Vader was too quick for him and jumped over the top of him, almost cutting his head off. Vader began to strike with tremendous power, forcing Obi-Wan on the defensive, and now his rusty lightsaber skills were being tested. Almost on the edge of the building top, Obi-Wan rolls off to the bottom, making a run for Vader's ship. However, much to Obi-Wan's horror, the ship began to rise into the air. Looking for the source of the movement, he saw Vader lifting it into the air with the Force, before smoothly leaping aboard. Obi-Wan wanted to counter the Force pull, but knew he couldn't match Vader's Force abilities in his current state. As a result, he was forced to suffer with the loss of Luke again. With a strong air of despondency, Obi-Wan trudged back to his ship and Leia, who had been watching the battle from afar. In that moment, Obi-Wan decided to reveal the truth to Leia. Taking off back into space into the rebellion, Obi-Wan tells Leia more information about her father, Luke, and her future role as a Jedi Knight. Leia wants to deny her connections to them, but searching her feelings, she knows it to be true. Agreeing to Obi-Wan's request to become a Jedi, he sends her to Master Yoda, leaving him to join the rebels at their new temporary base. There was no use hiding in the shadows anymore. The temporary loss of Leia does not hurt the morale of the rebellion, as the military experience and reputation of Obi-Wan proves to be a worthy substitute. Trying to capitalise on the Death Star's lapse in defences, the rebels move in for the kill. But upon arriving, they find that the defences have been fortified to a new level. This was unexpected. Regardless, they couldn't cancel the mission, so proceed to attack. Obi-Wan leads the squadron downwards, aiming for the trenches, having seen a weakness on his previous visit. He soon finds that he is alone, with the pilots dropping off to Vader and his TIE fighters. Firing several missiles out of desperation, one luckily managed to connect with his target, and taking a sharp upwards move, is delighted to find the Death Star being destroyed. He just hoped Luke hadn't been on it. Heading back to the rebellion, his joy is short-lived, hearing from rebel cells of her being far worse than an Inquisitor supplementing the terror of Vader. Obi-Wan knew it was Luke. The alluring nature of the dark side and Luke's loyalty meant he was easily shifted to the dark side. If Luke was allowed to reach his full potential, the Jedi and Rebellion would not stand a chance. Quickly moving to Dagobah, he finds Leia working intensely with Yoda. Leia had progressed so rapidly that she was nearly at the level of a Jedi Knight, her strong connection to the Force and headstrong traits making her a natural Jedi. Obi-Wan decides to stay for a short period of time, helping to assist Leia and sharpen his own skills. Luke's power would be increasing, but so was theirs. Knowing of the rule of two, the Jedi knew that soon either the Emperor, Vader or Luke would fall. The Emperor would surely be able to detect Vader's treachery soon. But eventually, the Jedi head for Coruscant, knowing there was the place where Palpatine was most likely to be found. Going straight for the former Jedi Temple, Obi-Wan and Yoda dispel their memories of the scattered Jedi Knights and younglings, annihilating any guards in their way. The feeling of darkness suddenly became stronger. Arriving in a large hall, they can already see blades of red clashing as Palpatine fought off Luke and Vader. Soon Luke tumbled down towards them, and the Jedi take this opportunity to join the battle with the Sith Lords. The Sith are taken by surprise, having to switch from attacking each other to working beside each other to take down the Jedi. Luke, however, has other ideas, and from the ground, throws his lightsaber straight for Palpatine, but inadvertently hits the side of Yoda before meeting its intended target. Vader continues as if nothing had happened, pouring all of his hatred into Obi-Wan. A slightly shaken Obi-Wan puts up his defenses, grateful for the intervention of Leia who returns Vader's attacks. Luke attempts to get up, but is force pushed to the lowest level by Obi-Wan, allowing him to focus on Vader. With little room to move near the ceiling of the building, this plays into the hands of Leia, who uses her agility to outmaneuver Vader and send him falling down. With his suit damaged from the drop, Vader begins to wheeze, before Luke unexpectedly tends to his side. The Jedi look in shock at this confused act by a supposed Sith, before realising what was happening. There was good in them after all. Luke had somehow struck a balance between the teachings of the Sith and his sense of right and wrong. In doing so, he had both found and brought balance to the Force. That is it for What If Luke Skywalker Joined the Imperial Academy. If you enjoyed this, please like this video, and if you're new to this channel and my other channel, subscribe for more tips. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.